Bonjour. Okay, so today's video, I just want to give you a very quick guidance on how to start translating the recipe, because I've been telling you to keep it simple. And as you go through the recipe, I want to give you some tips on how to really reduce all of the extra words which you don't need to be able to make a recipe, and keep it simple, because I don't want you looking up tons of words. You know a lot of words, and so this is what you're going to be using. So this is the day where you are chosen your recipe and you're starting to translate it and you're finishing the translation. In class, we're doing this, so I want to give you the same advantage that the people in person have. So I'm just going to annotate real quickly on here, and you can pause this screen once I'm done so you know which one's which. Hopefully, if you already look at this, you will know some of these, because it's some that we're done. And then I've just thrown in a couple of extra which will be useful for you. So fondre is to melt. You should know bouillir, because we've done that. I don't know if you can see that at the bottom, but that's boil. Couvre, cover. Let's move this away. Étaler, spread. Réchauffer, preheat. Faire cuire, we've done. Let's bake or cook. Jusqu'à is until. So let's see if we can get this a little bit smaller. And this one at the bottom, doré. Doré is to glaze. So I'm going to send that back again. Let's see whether it comes back. Okay, wonderful. This one down here is to glaze. So I'll write that in for you in case you can't see it. Doré. Actually, I should just put it up here. Doré. Interestingly, or is gold, and when you glaze something, it goes golden. So that's how I remember it. Doré. Okay, so for you guys at home watching this video, if any of that vocab is new, pause the video, write it down, because it probably will be useful for you, especially depending on your recipe. Okay, je vais continuer. All right, so today you are translating a recipe, and I gave you in our last video an idea of you're taking a recipe and then you are putting the ingredients into simple terms. So let's have a little look at an example of what I want you to really be doing, so that you're not getting overwhelmed with all of the words that you don't know, because some recipes, even if they're short, have some new vocabulary. All right, so I'm going to go to, so I clicked on the first link that you have on your document for the task, and I'm chosen this one. Hold on. Okay, so I chosen this one, thyme and garlic bread, camembert. And so I'm going to run through this example, and I want you to look at yours that you've chosen and kind of do the same. So let's have a look at the ingredients first. It says 1 8-ounce wheel of camembert cheese. That's the cheese that comes with the wooden box. Well, that's a lot. We don't need to translate all of that. We don't need wheel. We could just say 1 8-ounce camembert cheese. 1 clove of garlic sliced. Now, you don't have to have all of that even. You could look up the word for clove, or we could just use some. We could just say some garlic. And 1 sprig of fresh thyme. Again, I would think you don't even need any of this. We could just say some thyme. And whenever you're going to put, and that's if you don't need to exactly put exact measurements. I would say we've learned in the past couple of weeks how to say some. That's where you're going to say de la, du, and that means you get to show off your grammar that you've been learning, de le, etc. Okay, so Use some for like any areas where you don't need like exact measurements. This one, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Yep, we know 2, we know tablespoons, we know, you don't have to say olive oil. I mean, you can if you want, you can just say oil. Okay, so this is an example of how you just kind of narrow it down, keep it simple. It doesn't have to be exact. Toasted crostini is just bread. So it's when you read through the recipe and you look at the picture and you know what it is, it's just bread. So you could just say toasted bread. I wouldn't say crostini. I mean, you can if you want, but show off your French and show that you know how to say bread in French. Okay, so if you need any help with adapting like the ingredients and stuff, then you can even send me an adapted English and I will like English recipe and I will have a look at that with you. People in the class, this is what I'm going to be guiding them to, and I want to give you that same opportunity. Okay, so when it comes to the recipe, you're going to do the instructions, you're going to do the same thing. Preheat, we just looked at that. The oven, you should know, and then this is fine. Unwrap the cheese, discard the plastic wrap. I mean, I don't think you need and discard the plastic wrap. I just say unwrap the cheese. That's fine. Then you just only need to know how to say unwrap. Place the cheese back into its box, score the top in a crosshatch pattern. Okay, so this is kind of important to the recipe. So you might want to go back and say that, or we know how to say place. I wouldn't say back, just place the cheese in the box. And you can say in the wooden box, okay? Score the top in a crosshatch pattern. Now that's kind of important to the recipe. So you could say, you could either look up the word for score or you could change it to cut, because we know the word cut the top. And we might have to look up crosshatch pattern maybe. Or I'll find a different way of saying that. I mean, cut the top would actually just still work even if we got rid of this. Wedge pieces of garlic into the top of the cheese. I don't think you need to say wedge. You can just say place or put, since we've looked at those words. Put pieces of garlic in the top of the cheese or in the cheese. And then again, you could say, look up the word for sprinkle, but I wouldn't. I would just say, and put fresh thyme on. Do you see how we're just making it really simple? So we keep using the same verbs. You're not looking up anything. Drizzle the oil. Well, what word have we used instead of drizzle? Pour. So you know the word for pour. Pour the olive oil. And then instead of transfer onto a baking sheet, I would just say you don't need to do any of that. You could say put onto a baking sheet if you already know baking sheet. Because I think that is one of the words that we've already got. You don't have to say place the baking sheet into them, and you can just say put it in the oven. Place into the oven or put into the oven for 20 minutes. We've looked at recipes that have that, so you should know that. And then take out, let it rest. You don't even have to say let it rest. Remove and serve with the bread. Okay, so this is just a way you can see how we've taken out a lot of words which are superfluous. They are not absolutely needed, and there is definitely some fancy words that we can just replace with simplified verbs that you've already been learning. So go ahead, do it like this. If I see your recipes and you're taking a really long time, you shouldn't be taking a long time translating these. You should be using what you know to do this. So keep an eye on the deadline for the draft, and when you submit it, I can look at it for you. But yes, this is what I want you to do. So thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Au revoir.